Girivanadhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadhari. Shodanandana Rajajanarandana Yashodanandana Rajajanarandana Yavuratira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivanadhari Shodanandana Vrajajanarandana Shodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansapad Vigacharya Ashtottara Srimad Abhecharanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Srila Gaur Kishore Das Bhavaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Satchitananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Bhavaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sko Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Jamunmai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Janitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Today is Sunday. Today is Sunday. Monday. Excuse me. Just often we have Chaitanya Charitamrita classes on Sundays. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Prachachadesha Tarine. I was thinking that it's been 50 years since I first came to Krishna Balaram Mandir. And of course there are a few changes. Very important in terms of establishing the purpose for which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and how that purpose is meant to be attained. And then we have a verse here which points out just Krishna's motive in appearing here in the material world. Up to now, you've been reading from chapters 1, 2, and 3, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is based upon 14 seed verses. They're like sort of bij mantras. Devotees, when they chant Gayatri mantra, then they chant bij mantras, Klim, Ain, and so on. And those mantras are then further expanded into the Ain, Gurudevaya Vidmahi, Krishnanandaya Dhimahi, and so on. So the Bij is expanded into the mantra. Similarly, Kaviraj Goswami, he has taken verses, some of which are his own, others from Sri Goswami, others from Swarup Damodar Goswami, with the idea that these become the foundation of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then the Adi Lila goes on to really explain these mantras in detail. Chapter 3 is dedicated to verse 4. Anarpitam charim chirat karinavatirna kalo samarparitum anutojvala, and so on, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's purpose for his appearance is there. And here, go on to verse 5, and that's composed by Swarup Damodar Goswami. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Aladini Shakti Rasmad Ekat Manav Api Bhuvi Puradeha Gatam Gatoto Chaitanyakya Sadvaitam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhava Jyoti Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. You know, it's hard to memorize a language that you don't know. I mean, if I memorize English, oh Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo, it's very easy. I know what all the words mean. But when you're memorizing something and, well, after so many years, you sort of get an idea of some words, but therefore verse memorization is a little more challenging for devotees who aren't versed. That's another meaning of the word verse. They're not versed in Sanskrit. And of course, Srila Prabhupada wasn't eager that his devotees get into studying Sanskrit. He wanted some specific devotees to do that. But more, he was happy if devotees were engaged in studying Krishna consciousness. One of my godbrothers, he, way back in 1972 or 73, he proposed to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I think I'm going to study Ayurvedic medicine, and that way I can really help the devotees, and we don't have to revert to allopathic medicine. Srila Prabhupada said, that's not necessary. Allopathic medicine is good, which was not Prabhupada's customary opinion. But, you know, Prabhupada, like Krishna, sometimes sort of twists the truth in order to get the result that he wanted. So Srila Prabhupada instead told him, better you just spend your life distributing my books. And that devotee is still distributing books. He's in charge of the BBT in the Middle East, of all places. Okay, let's get to this verse. Oh, there's a clock. Rajira Nirmal Raga Shuni Bhaktagan Raga Marge Pachichina Chadi Dharmakaram. Do you say, is it supposed to say A at the end or not? Do we pronounce the A at the end of karma here?
Yes.
No. Huh? No, my Sanskrit expert here had said no. Okay, one more time. Brajera Nirmal Raga Suni Bhaktagan Raga Marge Bhaje Jena Chadi Dharmakar. Hare Krishna.
Brajera Nirmal Raga Suni Bhaktagana Raga Marge Bhaje Jano Chadi Dharma Karma.
Bhaktagana Raga Marge Bhaje Dharma. Ladies. Bhaktivana Raga Marge Bhaje Jena Chadi Dharma Karma. So, long A's on both. Is that right? In other words, Gana and Karma. Okay. Because usually you just say Gan, don't you?
Because the Gana and Karma both it should match. If you say Gana, then you have to say Karma.
And if you say Gan?
Karma.
Hare Krishna. Not to speak of Bengali, I mean Sanskrit. I don't know Bengali either. Nowadays I'm even struggling with English. Okay. Brajera. Now is it Braja or Braj? Nirmala, spotless. Rag, love. Shuni, hearing. Bhaktagan, the devotees. Ragamarge, on the path of spontaneous love. Bhaje, they worship. Jaina, so that. Chadi, giving up. Dharma, religiosity. Karma, fruitive activity. Translation. Then, by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Braj, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all rituals of religiosity and fruitive activity. Please repeat. Then, by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Braj, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all rituals of religiosity and fruitive activity. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Many realized souls, such as Raghunath Das Goswami and King Kula Shekhara, have recommended with great emphasis that one develop this spontaneous love of Godhead, even at the risk of transgressing all traditional codes of morality and religiosity. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, has written in his prayers called Manashiksha that one should simply worship Radha and Krishna with all attention. Nadharmam nadharmam shrutigana niruktam kilakuru. One should not be much interested in performing Vedic rituals or simply following rules and regulations. King Kulashekar has written similarly in his book Mukunda Mala Stotra. Nasta dharmena vasu nityayenaiva kamo pavoge yadbhavyam tad bhavatu bhagavan purva karmanurupam etat prartyam mama bahumatam janma janmantarepi tat padambha ruha jugagata nischala bhaktir astu. I have no attraction for performing religious rituals or holding any earthly kingdom. I do not care for sense enjoyment. Let them appear and disappear in accordance with my previous deeds. My only desire is to be fixed in devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord, even though I may continue to take birth here, life after life. Brajera nirmala raga shuni bhaktagan raga marge bhaje jena chari dharma kali. Then by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Braj, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all rituals of religiosity and fruitive activity. Then means that it's continuing from the previous verses, which says, I shall taste the essence of all these rasas, and in this way I shall favor the devotees. American spelling. Okay. In these chapters, we have a link or connection between Krishna's appearance and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. I mean, ultimately, Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the same person. The mood and complexion being different, as in that verse it says, Radha Bhava Jyoti. Krishna Swarupam, he's Krishna Swarup. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. He's not an incarnation, he's not an avatar, he is Swayam Bhagavatam Swarup. So he's Krishna himself, but Radha Bhava, he has the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he has the duty, the complexion, beautiful golden complexion. And here, Kaviraj Goswami is first trying to explain why actually did Krishna come. And up to now, we've heard that Paritanaya Sarunam Vinasha Chaduskritam, these are actually not Krishna's business. These are really the business of Krishna's incarnations. Lord Vishnu comes to both maintain religious principles, kill demons, but when different appearances overlap, in this case, Krishna's appearance overlaps with that of the time for performing these activities, then of course, since all of the forms of Krishna are present in him, you name it, Matsya, Kurma, every incarnation is present within the form of the Lord. And it's sort of an interesting way that Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that in Krishna's time, it's not Krishna who's killing the demons, but Lord Vishnu. Usually we consider that it's Krishna is appearing and he's walking into Aghasura's mouth and he's killing. No, I haven't read much detail about how Lord Vishnu sort of kills while Krishna is present. You do see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, for instance, the Lord Narayan takes on, in order to pacify Gop Kumar, he takes on the form of Krishna, and Lakshmi takes on the form of Srimati Radharani. And there's cowherd boys around, and there's gopis around, but it's not the same. This is Narayan being Krishna. For instance, the other example is Balaji, or at least Tirupati was in the news recently. But Balaji is also like that. He's considered Krishna. But for them, it's Lord Narayan has manifest the form of Krishna. It's not a concept that we see or hear of often, but it's certainly there. You can't say that Lord Narayan can't do that. But what Lord Narayan will not do is that even though he may appear in Krishna's form, he's still Lord Narayan. He still has that mood and flavor of Lord Narayan. When the gopis saw Krishna, and that verse is quoted here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when the gopis saw Krishna hiding in this kunj in the form of Lord Narayan, they just immediately related to his form, asked where Krishna was, and went elsewhere. But Srimati Radharani, who had she was able to perceive Krishna's presence, so much so that then Krishna had to drop the form of Lord Narayan. So Krishna also manifests often in the form of his incarnations, and throughout Vrindavan there are different places. And Rasastali, at the end of Govardhan, then Krishna appeared there as Lord Ramachandra. In other places, not so far by Govardhan, Krishna appears, for instance, as Lord Varaha or as Lord Narayan, generally to satisfy the curiosity of his cowherd boys. Now, when Krishna appears as Narayan, he's more than when Lord Narayan appears. He's more because he's still Krishna. He hasn't changed. He may put on the extra two arms and manifest all the grandeur of Lord Narayan, but nonetheless he remains Swayam Bhagavan. So these chapters are about why is Krishna appearing and connecting Krishna's appearance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And basically Krishna says that I wasn't able to achieve the purpose of my appearance, which is quite extra, that Krishna can't do something. So what is it that Krishna wanted to do? Here you read this verse raga twice. Nirmal Rag and Raga Margi. So rag means a sort of very, very intense attachment in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami first defines and explains what rag is, that it's a very possessive type of love, but it's a natural, spontaneous. Two words are synonymous. So it's a spontaneous love that's based uniquely, because this is unique to Vrindavan, and that's why here we use the word nirmal, spotless, that it is solely based on the love for who Krishna is, not what Krishna is. In other words, I use who when for who Krishna's personality. Krishna is a person, the supreme, the personality. And then what? Well, that's everywhere else, whether it's Mathura or Dwarka or other Vaikuntha planets, everybody is worshipping Krishna because he's the supreme personality of Godhead. So it's a natural phenomena or inclination. Many of you may have some forms of employment, either here or other places. And in that employment we have a certain title. Oh, this person is the CEO of this company. This person is a minister of parliament. This person is a judge, and so on. So to all of these Minister of Parliament, CEO, especially a judge, even now in courts, everyone stands up when the judge comes in. Why? Do they really respect the judge? Well, they may have the opinions as to how competent he is as a judge, but he's representing the principle of justice. He's representing the law. And therefore everybody know that he's a judge, his wife does, but their relationship is not on the basis of law. It's on a basis of the personal, who that person is. So similarly, we have this rag is a unique type of love which is based on Krishna, Krishna's beauty, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's sweetness, very important. Sweetness is also actually the most intense type of beauty, and the effect that beauty has. That's called sweetness. So Madhura Ras, later on Kaviraj Goswami talks about the conjugal mellow, because it is the sweetest, therefore it's called Madhura Ras. In all other mellows that sweetness is there. In Shantaras isn't even mentioned here. The four mellows are being mentioned. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes mentions the five, because from a technical point of view they're there, but Shantaras, Shanta Prema, it's not the real thing. Why? Because there's no service. Just staying at a distance, marveling at the sound of Krishna's flute, being aware of Krishna's path, not participating. And since bhakti really means Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate, how does it start? sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmala. So, sevana bhakti uchate, service. So Narada Muni defines devotional service in this way. So because the residents of Vrindavan, the cowherd boys, servants, the parents, and everyone, gopis, young, old, so because they're saturated with this love, therefore they are called ragatmika. Atmika, when your atma becomes fully saturated with this rag, then, so they are called ragatmika. And here, raga marge, the path of raga marg. They will worship me on the path of spontaneous love. Now here worship is in a somewhat different context than we talk about worship in regulated devotional service. Nonetheless, Krishna is saying that, well, when I come and I exhibit the essence of all of these pastimes and they see my relationship with the residents of Braj, Krishna is bringing his father, his mother, Srimati Radharani, Sridham, Shubal, and so on. He's bringing all these devotees, and when others see or hear, he says, Shuni, when they hear. So when they hear about times, then they will also want to develop a similar type of love. And when one has an attraction for a similar type of love and follows those residents of Vrindavan, that is called Raga Marg. So Rupa Goswami therefore describes two different types of devotional service in practice, Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is not at least in Raganuga Sadhana, is a practice. It's not a perfectional stage. However, generally we see that, where did I see this? Srila Prabhupada was talking about Srila Prabhupada is saying that when one follows the rules and regulations, practices regulated devotional service to an exalted state. I think he uses somewhere in one of these purports, to an exalted state, then one practices Raga Bhakti or Raganuga Bhakti. And generally that's how our acharyas describe that it can be taken up in one of two ways. Either you practice devotional service in regulated devotional service, and if some eagerness, or Prabhupada translates later on in Chaitanya Charitamrita, if one's intelligence becomes attracted to the devotional service of the residents of Vrindavan and one wants to specifically hear more and more about them, then if one has a strong eagerness, or ultimately it's called greed, lobha. So if one has that real greed for that, then under the guidance of one's spiritual master or spiritual masters, then one can take that up. It's very interesting that Srila Prabhupada defined the Krishna consciousness movement based on a verse of Srila Rupa Goswami. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati. So the sweet mellow of serving Krishna, Krishna Bhakti, and that he called Krishna consciousness. We were in the 60s and 70s very much into consciousness expanding. So Srila Prabhupada went with the flow and he translated this Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavitamati into Krishna consciousness. Kriya api kutopi labhyate tatra lolya molya mekalam janma koti sukriti nalabhyate. But this verse is talking about spontaneous devotional service. So, for devotees who study that verse, then they see, yes, actually Krishna consciousness means cultivating this type of devotional service. So, either in the stage of sadhana, which is more safely done, when we say there's the stage of ruchi, one has a natural taste. So you have a taste for chanting, you have a taste for hearing, one doesn't fall asleep when doing these things, and it's an intense taste, and that taste becomes more intense when one comes to the stage of asakti. So one may begin that if one's spiritual master gives the blessing for that. And but Srila Prabhupada's general preferred direction is the devotees come to the stage of bhava by practicing regulated devotional service. And at that stage, then devotees will naturally go towards the direction of raga bhakti. Why? Because that's what Krishna consciousness is about. So their spontaneous attraction will wake up, and then they will have to again have guidance and direction. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha. So the real root of devotional service is Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Prema Mukha Anga. Even at the stage of Krishna Prema, this bhava is like the bud of Prema. And even when that bud opens, still one needs guidance. It isn't an automatic thing. If guidance isn't there, then that's another story. Then Krishna will, dadami buddhi, he'll give that direction from within. So, hearing. Now I could get into a long, or maybe I should have just got into a long issue, that as you can see, the key over here is based on hearing. Now I'm no longer part of the GBC, and 5-6 years ago I resigned. When one comes to a certain age, Prabhupada keeps saying you should retire. But just at that time, there was the Sangha, Shabha, of other advisors, senior devotees, and we had discussion, and one point of discussion was that devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement do not read the books of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, sufficiently. That's not nobody. Some devotees are very, very conscientious, but instead of not just reading, and of course, this makes for nice reading, Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's really a textbook. So you've all gone to school. And by the way, how many books did you read in school? Grade school, high school, university, which was all trash. But how much did you read? You read so many books. And now here Srila Prabhupada says, well, here are these 4. They're not exactly 4 because there's 17 in these, and well, I don't know, in different editions of the Bhagavatam, they come out different, but anywhere from 12 to, I don't know, I haven't even counted. So many volumes, but nonetheless, these are textbooks. If you were studying, I don't know, if you were studying law, you don't, read law books. You learn them, you memorize them. If you're a mechanic and you're fixing a car, I mean, to be a mechanic, you don't read the book. You memorize it, you learn it. And these books are also books that are meant to be studied, very, very deeply studied. And why? Because here Krishna gives the key that Shravanat Kirtanadini, that the principle of devotional service, and Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam. So whether you're practicing this type of devotion or that type of devotion, but hearing is essential. No one learns anything. Even the Bible says, faith cometh by hearing. And then, of course, what to speak of knowledge? Knowledge comes by hearing. It will not be possible to awaken what Krishna is talking about, and for some reason, Krishna was also disappointed that people didn't really quite get it in his time, whether they were personally observers. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada says this number that, only about 100 people really understood who Krishna was when Krishna appeared. Which is, you get this idea how beautiful Krishna is, that he knows what the chances are going to be. In fact, he already knows what the future is, so he knows how many people, but he's still coming, and he's still spending his time. So, to actually hear and to study, to read, the word hearing is always used. It's very rare that in Sanskrit the word reading is there. Because as Srila Prabhupada points out, hearing is more potent than just reading. Reading means you're alone. Hearing means you're with others. And Machita Margata Prana Katayantascha Manitya Tushyanticha Ramanticha. So discussing together, that's what should really be talking about is Siddhanta Bolya Chitte. You talk about Siddhanta, you talk about Bhagavad Gita, philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam, or you talk about Krishna's pastimes, and that way, by association, it will awaken within the heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya. So that awakening within the heart, and the devotee awakens an eagerness. That has to be there. So whether we're regulated devotees, how many times Srila Prabhupada said, as much as Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing book distribution, that when he asked the book distributors, and are you reading my books? And they were sort of humming and hawing, and Prabhupada says, then what's the use? What's the use of, distributing, selling something that you don't have any personal experience with? So, Raga Margi. And what is the essence of that? Actually, externally, the activities, Seva Sadhaka Rupena, Siddha Rupena Chatri. So, externally, the activities of both are the same. Especially in a Krishna consciousness movement, where we're not selective as to who we are talking to. Anyone who comes, comes. And they hear. Therefore, you have to have a sort of a common denominator in terms of our preaching, and that's also there, and certainly was there in Srila Prabhupada's preaching, but it was very much there in Srila Prabhupada's books. And that's what makes these books, these are not like ordinary books. Now, when you went to grade school, you studied books designed for grade school. When you went to high school, you read books for high school. When you went to university, when you did postgraduate studies, the books are always, but you never had books like this. It's got the grade school, it's got the high school, it's got the PhD, it's got everything. It's just, but the different level of knowledge will be activated by your consciousness. So is consciousness reactive, or consciousness Devamrita Maharaj likes to give that class about how our knowledge is actually related to our consciousness. Use a particular word that I forget, just slips me right now. But that's why these books are so extraordinary, and that's why they need to be studied, because everything is there. Prabhupada had no choice. He is preaching to a worldwide audience. There are some devotees who are, now we're getting around to, Srila Prabhupada came, that's been in 1965. So you do your arithmetic, this 35 and 25 is 60. So who've been devotees for 60 years? Mukunda Maharaj is there down under, and 60 years in devotional service. And then you have some devotees who've been here 60 days. And they're all together. So externally, the activities are the same. But internally, something else will awaken. Siddharupena Chatrihi. That there's an aspiration. I would also like to serve like the cowherd boys. Why? Because I read the Krishna book, and this very much drew me, very much attracted. Where was this that I read? Srila Prabhupada says this, no, I didn't make any notes. Paraphrase. Srila Prabhupada is saying here that natural attraction towards a certain associate or class of associates indicates one's own spiritual identity. And of course that's a long discussion. It could be more than a discussion, could be an argument. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is it? This verse says, Anuto jvalarasas bhakti sriyam. What did he come to give? So, Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras. It was known. It was practiced. Madhuryaras. Then Prabhupada says, no acharya, no incarnation. But Sarvam Bhattacharya instead says that for a long, long time, this is, I forget, what is that, one of those two verses that says that had not been taught for a long time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought that Madhurya Ras, and as we see, Chaitanya Charitamrita is based on that, and most of the books of our acharyas also describe and teach that. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you have is a very general book which really describes the general principles of bhakti all the way up to the perfectional stage. But Other books of Acharyas generally deal with that conjugal mellow. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to offer. But in any case, the essence or the principle of this Raga Bhakti is that when one has to hear or read, one has to hear or read about Krishna's interaction with the residents of Vrindavan. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also came, and he's teaching by his personal example. He also wants to know, he goes to Ramananda Roy, and he says, what is the highest sadhya, and what is the sadhana for attaining it? So he's going, this one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and so many. And Lord Chaitanya says, no, those are external, even up to Sarvadharma Parityajya. No, this is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Now, Sthane Stita Shrutikata. Yes, now this is good. Now he doesn't say they're external, he says, tell me more. And he wants to hear more and more. And what's the most? Well, when you come up to this Madhurya Ras, and when that Madhurya Ras is in separation, the Lord Chaitanya covers his mouth. He says, don't say anymore. So this is the ultimate limit of knowledge. But the principle remains, Charitadi sukirtinanu smrityo kramena rasana manasini uja tishte braje. You're all here, those who are fortunate living in Braj, or at least our consciousness should be in Braj. Tishte braje anugami jana anugami. Following a resident of Vrindavan. Same Rupa Goswami, what does he say? This is Upadesha Saram. Here's Upadeshamrita. I only have 1 minute, but I'll give you, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Govinda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant, had kept also a kavacha, which was called Govinda, I don't remember what. But Govinda points out that one day when they were walking on the beach, Rupa Goswami was there at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke the essence of all devotional knowledge. In other words, he spoke this Upadeshamrita, and Rupa Goswami wrote it down. Now that I'd never heard before, I just saw this a few weeks ago. So in any case, this following, to follow, whatever attraction one has, and that attraction increases more and more, chanting Hare Krishna goes without question. And to hear and study about that. This was Krishna's desire, this was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire, this is why Srila Prabhupada also came to the world. Tatra lo yamo yame kamlam. You can't get this for millions and millions of, tens of millions of births, but if you can get it somewhere, whatever it takes, get it. And that's ultimately what this nadharmam nadharmam sutikanam, which Krishna says the same thing, sarva dharmam parityaja. I'll stop there. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.